begin tonight's meeting. Thank you for waiting. Apologize, we are not starting on time. Okay, here we go. Almost. Okay. Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 6:05 p.m. Welcome to a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the St. Helena Unified School District. Today is Thursday, August 14th, 2025. I'm Laura Simon, Board President.
Actually, you're done right here. You're going to go to 4A. I mean, right after. I'm sorry, 5A. I'm going to start there.
For those of you who've just joined us after closed session, welcome to this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. I am Laura Simon, Board President, and I'd like to introduce my fellow trustees, Lisa Pelosi, Sean Mora, Jeannie Kerr, and Jean Marie Wolfe. I'd also like to introduce our district staff, Superintendent Dr. Jody McClay, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Christopher Heller, Chief Business Official Dr. Kay Vang, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent and Governing Board Ms. Erica Madrigal, Director of Technology Mr. Derek Machado. Additional staff members are joining us in the audience. Director of Educational Services, Mrs. Araceli Romo Flores, Director of Facilities and Maintenance, Mr. Mike Flores, St. Helena High School Principal, Mr. Benjamin Cinto, RLS Middle School Principal, Mr. Andrew Ryan, St. Helena Primary School Principal, Mrs. Rebecca Rocha. We are delighted that you are viewing in person on television channel 27 or on our YouTube channel. A copy of this board meeting video will also be available on our website at www.sthelenaunified.org. In connection with items 4A, 4B, and 4C, the board received information and provided staff with direction. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to move on to 6A, public comment on open session items. Is there anyone present who wishes to publicly comment on items not on the meeting agenda? Okay. Did we receive any comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to facilities. 7A, information on the SHUSD solar project. And I'd like to call on Dr. Kay Vang.
Thank you, President Simon. As the board knows, we have a solar project where we were going to be putting up solar panels at all 4 of our sites. It's information that we've been sharing not only with the board but with the community. The board approved it. We had a power purchase agreement with BPI, and Atlas was the funding partner. However, we've run into some challenges, and so today I have our energy consultant Gopal Shankar here as well, and we would like to share some information, provide you with an update, and just let you know, have a discussion with the board so that we can move forward with our next steps. But we felt that it was important to give you an update as to where we are with the project. Okay, so I'm going to call up to the podium Mr. Shankar.
Hi, everyone. So I should start by saying solar is dead, right? I think you got that from the brief thing that I saw on the agenda. Concatenation of circumstances, right? Lots of things at the federal level, the state or the utility, and also local conditions. So at the federal level, and this is what's caused the delay until now, when the Trump administration came and there was a lot of uncertainty about solar, about whether the tax credit would remain in place. And so Atlas Energy, who is the PPA provider, the power purchase agreement, the funder or the financier, wasn't releasing money to BPI, the company that was going to build the project, for months because the investors were nervous. So on the 4th of July, when the big, beautiful bill passed, I immediately called Zach Fonseca of Atlas Energy and said, well, now we know what the uncertainty has been resolved. We know that projects that are underway aren't in any danger. And he said, well, that's not what my investors think. So he wasn't ready to release funds and said, what we can do is re-examine this in November when I create a private equity fund. That was going to be too late in order for us to meet the April 2026 deadline for completion of construction of these projects. So a week after that, President Trump issued an executive order to tighten the rules around start of construction. So he he gave the Treasury Department 45 days to come up with some guidance, so that projects that didn't actually, we don't know yet, it'll probably be the 18th of August, if Treasury meets that 45-day deadline, where I think what they're going to say that if projects haven't actually broken ground, they're not going to be eligible for the tax credits. We don't know that yet. That decision hasn't been released. So that's at the federal level. The utility, PG&E has, officially it's April 2026 to complete construction for all net metering version 2 project to be eligible for the grandfathering. But in their published tariff, it says that meter aggregation projects, which would be the projects at the middle school, elementary school, and the high school, would have until February of 2027 to complete. So we thought that would give us some room. When I emailed the interconnection manager to confirm that, initially he quoted the PG&E official line at me, which is not what the tariff says, said, no, all projects have to be complete by April 2026. So when I pointed out the statute, what the rule said, he agreed with us. Subsequent to that, PG&E filed an advice letter with the CPUC clarifying the tariff, where they said, no, all projects have to be complete by April 2026. And a few of my clients, including St. Helena, submitted a letter of protest to the CPUC saying, here's what the tariff says, and here's what, so we don't agree with PG&E. The CPUC has until, if they follow any timelines, maybe the 30th of August before they issue their ruling in our favor or against. That's the second, that's the state or the utility issue. The third thing, which is, I think, the nail in the coffin, is the soils report or geotech report studies were done for these 4 sites, and they're all subject to liquefaction, right, if there's an earthquake. And what that means is that you have to drive piers deep into the ground, and that was going to, just the piers, right, we got an updated cost proposal from BPI. It would be $1.2 million just for that at these 4 sites. So the impact of that additional cost of roughly 6, right, so the project costs have climbed to $6 million, with, if we don't have net metering version 2, the savings of the first year bill savings drop by about 50%, so from PG&E. So the cost of the project have gone up, the savings have shrunk, or will shrink if we can't meet those deadlines if the CPUC rules against us. And so it's not worth pursuing. That's the gist of it. So the actions, my recommendation is that your attorney send an official letter to Atlas Energy, canceling the agreement. And what is the other one? Oh yeah. So in anticipation that the project was potentially at risk, but we wanted to make sure that we were trying to keep, if we could, within the schedule to meet the April 2026 deadline, we got BPI to agree to cover half the cost of the soils tests. And so, because the project if the project did move forward, the district said, hey, you need to share some of this risk with us, and they agreed. So I think Kay will send them a letter saying, give us $40,000, half the cost, right? So that's where things are. Any questions? Sure.
Okay, is there any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, do the trustees have any questions about this?
I'm curious, what have we invested so far in getting solar up to this point?
Well, there's some fees for me, for sure.
Sorry about that. I have, we've been tracking it, and it's about between $77,000 and $80,000 so far. But we're going to be I'm going to be working with BPI to get $40,000 back. And to Gopal's point, we do have a contract, a PPA, not only with BPI, but we also have a contract with Gopal. And there were milestones in his contract, but now being that the project is where it is, unfortunately, we're going to have to end his contract as well. So that's where we are.
Okay.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead. No, no.
So
continue.
just kind of piggyback on that. So if 6 months from now, 8 months, a year from now, life changes and all of a sudden solar's on the horizon again, are these costs that we will be spending again, or is this like an investment that we don't need? We'll be a little bit ahead of the game if we could go there.
Well, we have, maybe Steve can speak to this a little bit, but we do have the title reports that are ready to go. We know we have we have soil issues, so that's a given, right? We don't have to go through that process again and spend more money testing the soils when we know we have issues there, right? Can I think of anything else?
I think, I'm not sure Steve again can address this, but I think these geotechnical reports have a certain, validity. I don't know if it's 3 years or 5 years.
Yeah, there is a statute of limitations to the soils reports, but I think it's somewhere between 5 and 10 years. I think you have quite a bit of leeway there.
Okay.
And then for the title reports, there's not a lot of cost involved with that, and you just get new title reports done, just to make sure.
Besides the trees in the parking lot of the high school, what other trees or what else has been taken down that will need to be replanted?
Mike, do you want to speak to that?
Or do we replant? Do we wait?
So we took out the ones at the senior lot, and then we took out some at the primary school. Kind of when we were feeling kind of uneasy about this, we stopped at RLS on any other removal.
Okay.
So we did good there.
Okay.
But we did remove trees, 6 out of senior lot and 8 at the primary school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to ask, just for an understanding of the process, why is the soil report not done first? Or not done, as one of the preliminary steps?
So one of the things that you have to have before you submit your drawings to DSA for approval is to know what type of soil you have. And there's a recommendation in the report that tells you what kind of foundation system has to go with that, depending on your soil type.
Okay.
It takes a little while to get those reports put together. You have to go out and bore, test borings. We had to coordinate, first of all, we had to have a contractor on board and find out from them where they wanted the test borings made. So they gave us locations. Then we have to set up the drill rig to go out and do that. There's some other research that has to go into the soils report before you issue it to make sure everything is correct. So it's about, once the boring is done, there's probably 2, maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks before we can issue the report and have it complete.
So according to the timeline, it was an accurate time to have the soil reports done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you recall, it took a long time before we finalized the positions where these arrays were going to go, right?
Yeah.
After multiple discussions. That's one thing. Anyway, so I don't want to end with just, horrible news all around. There's the good news, I think, potentially, we'll know in a couple of years, is for the last few years, solar has just been getting more and more expensive. Excuse me, I should rephrase that. The solar equipment has been declining in price. Modules have plummeted. Inverters are cheaper. But if you go to a PPA provider, the cost of the electricity from them has gone the other way. And I think it's in part because of the availability of the tax credit. The folks who are making the money are the money guys. And now that that's gone away, or will be going away pretty soon, I think the solar costs are going to come down. And when that happens, it may be worth re-examining this if that's one bit of potential good news. The second is we'll know hopefully by the end of this month if PG&E if the CPUC rules in our favor, saying okay, these meter aggregation projects have an extra year. Third potential bit of good news is a few environmental agencies sued the CPUC because of their NEM 2, NEM 3 decision, and that went to the California Supreme Court. And went to the appeals court first. The appeals court deferred to the CPUC. And then the Supreme Court came back and said, no, this CPUC isn't God Almighty. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know what exactly they said. But you don't accept what they have said at face value. You have to go and examine whether the decision that they made on NEM 2 versus NEM 3 was the right one. So if it's possible that the CPUC will, that the appeals court will come back and say, no, that was an unfair decision, because as I said, just for this project, the costs of the savings have dropped by 50%, right? And if you're producing solar, and it's worth something, and that's not what. So anyway, so these are all decisions that are not mine to make, but just mine to be aware of.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
No, I was just going to say if we could, since some decisions are still forthcoming, whether it's in a Friday memo or a facilities update, could you let us know what those, in case we don't track them in the news, provide that information for us and let us know what's happening. Thank you.
You know, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
and then, so my thought is with this is just, so it sounds as though because of the soils of where we were going to place the solar is out of the question now. Like if we were to move forward in a couple of years, we wouldn't even be looking at those places again. Is that correct? Because of the soil?
Yeah, that's one possibility, but again, it's a construction cost. It's all of it just being that 30% tax credit has made a lot of people very greedy, right? So it's not just that and because there's so many projects that are going in the pipeline right now, trying to comply with these April 26 deadlines. I think the costs are also. I think you've noticed this with some of these. If there's a wildfire somewhere and the property is burned, the contractors' costs go up.
Yeah.
Right, in response to that. So I think all that will settle down a little bit, and it may be that the soils aren't going to not non-liquefy, right?
Right.
So whether that site still worth considering, but given that all 4 sites that we looked at 4 different schools all had the same issue, presumably it's something that affects all of St. Helena, not just those sites that we selected.
And the roofs, as I recall, were not an option.
The roofs are not an option, and I guess Steve can speak to this better than
Yeah.
I can, but the DSA has very stringent requirements if you're going to put solar on a roof of an existing building. They may, again, Steve, maybe you should address this.
So when you're looking, when you submit plans for a new building, DSA requires that you have blocking and backing for all of the solar, and that the structural on the roof is going to accept that weight, that extra weight. If you go to an existing building, you'll have to put all that in and retrofit it to that building. But if the costs get up over 50% of what the value of the building is, DSA makes you go through the entire building and do all the seismic upgrades also, which is a recent DSA change in the way they look at drawings and structures. So what it means is that most of the buildings in this district are greater than 10 years old, and that means that the blocking won't be there, and there's a very dangerous condition where you'll get into the seismic issue, and that gets very expensive. Some districts have gotten where they'd have to even tear the building down because it's cost too much.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's also important too, in reading this report, like 1.2 might be the cost for the boring on 4 sites, but there's a whole other paragraph in there about everything would need to be removed in an excavation of 5 feet and then put back in. Utility lines might need to be rerouted.
Yep.
So, that's just one part of the cost. There's could be another close to $1 million of that work alone, so.
Yeah, and again, it's sort of, we're disappointed, but I think it's fortunate that this was discovered now. Imagine if the PPA
Yeah.
had started to fund the project, and then either the price per kilowatt hour would have doubled, or you'd have been out of pocket for 1.8 million or something. Right?
Okay. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for the positive news eventually,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And
So just a quick,
yeah, go ahead.
just a quick, so as of, right, you're asking for revisit the project in November 25 or release it
No.
say, from the agreement without penalty. That's kind of the route that is recommended for.
Right,
that's-
so I'll be
that's the
working with
thought.
our legal counsel to draft that up and send over to BPI. But in Atlas's email and Zach's email, he did say that they would release us because of the fact that they aren't releasing any funds. So on Atlas's end, they're willing to let us go. BPI, we haven't had that discussion in terms of the project being completely discontinuing the project because I think they're still holding on to, like, this can get done, but I think we all know in reality, DSA, that process is going to take a long time. We're not going to meet the April 2026 deadline, so waiting is just not an option for us.
Thank you.
Okay. Gopal, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We're going to move on to 7B, approval of Resolution 25-7, approving the total base rent for the leaseback contract with FRC Incorporated for the St. Helena Primary School roof replacement and dry rot repair project. I'd like to call on Dr. Vang.
And I will pass the mic to Steve so that he can give us an update on this, the primary school project as well.
Okay, so on this one, back in April, the board approved to have the superintendent authority to delegate the contract. And what it was a timing issue because DSA, we weren't sure when their approval would come through. You can't write a contract to a contractor to start work until you have approved drawings, with 2 exceptions. If it's a pre-construction contract, which is, and in this case, we did have pre-construction services at $5,000 to do that. And that's just doing no construction work, just doing research and investigation on the project. Or if you say, and have special wording in the contract that says, provided that DSA approved drawings have been obtained, something like that, then you can do that. So what this does is this resolution will go ahead and award that to FRC now. So it'll just kind of make it not legal, but ratify it.
Ratifying.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions on that?
First of all, I have to ask if anyone present wishes to comment on this agenda item. Okay, trustees? Questions?
Go ahead. So, I just was reviewing something. I should have reviewed it closer. One of the attachments is the St. Helena Primary School site. Let me pull the right one up. And I don't think this is good. Nope. Let me pull the next one up. The written description, site description says St. Helena Primary School, but if you read that, it sounds like we're describing where the middle school is. Elmhurst Avenue, Spring Mountain, 7th. Can we look at that? Because I don't I just technically.
Well, it actually says Adams Street as the address at the top. If you go all the way up, it says that's the
Yes.
elementary school address.
I do, but if you read commencing on the southeastern line of Elmhurst Avenue, formerly Brewery Lane, at the most western corner, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Associated Seventh-day Adventist, recorded February 11th. If you read through that description, to me, we're describing where RLS is located, not where the primary school is located, even though it does say primary school at the top. And I
But
should
it's
have
not the
seen that
primary
sooner.
school address either. So, right, so there's seems to be some, what's the word I'm trying, clerical errors, yes.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know what that matters, but I just happened to notice that when I.
Dr. Vang, what do you think about?
That, it's not on the, scroll up again. Erica, can you scroll all the way up to the top?
I don't think it's that document. It's the one that's St. Helena Primary School site description.
Right, but it's an exhibit to it. So what we can do is we can amend it and correct the description. But that's the description. It's not the actual work itself and the amount that's being done. So I think that the board can still move forward with approving it with the contingency piece of we amended so that it correctly reflects the primary school.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, any other questions? No? Jeannie?
I do, but it might be out of the scope of this. So are we finished with that project then?
Yes.
Okay, so we're just doing something, we're doing kind of routine item that we should have done in the past now, is what this is right here. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, okay, okay.
And are we allowed to ask, were there any hidden surprises, or did it pretty much come out as expected when it got taken apart?
Well, the nice thing about having a lease-leaseback delivery method is that you can have the contractor go through and pretty much kind of bring all of those issues and problems out before they start construction. Unfortunately, we did run into some more dry rot on some of the siding and around some of the windows. That was covered by the contingencies that we had built in. So we're in the process right now of finalizing all the dollars so that we know what was left. And so far, we're not over or anything like that. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And I've driven by the campus, and it looks beautiful. And the planters look beautiful as well, thanks to the grounds team. And I think the staff and the students will feel very fortunate to be coming to school in such a lovely environment. So,
No, thank you.
Yeah,
That's great.
I think we had a great team out there, and FRC, I think that was the right choice in having the right contractor too. So
Yeah.
they really were, they brought a lot of personnel on site, and if anything came up, they immediately had more staff and more carpenters and everything else
Great.
that was needed. So, and materials weren't a problem, so that was good.
yeah, we're really pleased it was completed on time and ready for the start of the school year. Thank you very much.
And potentially under budget.
And it-
Time under budget. I like that.
In the opinion of a 5-year-old, we went to drop something off at the office
Oh, yeah.
today, and he said, "It looks like a whole new school this year." So you got approval from a 5-year-old.
That's a big
good.
deal. That's a big deal. They have no filter.
Staff is very excited out there, so they
Good.
can't wait to start.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to the.
Nope, you've got to do a motion.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 25-7, approving the total base rent for the leaseback contract with FRC Incorporated for the St. Helena Primary School roof replacement and dry rot repair project as presented?
Do we have to
Oh.
acknowledge that one of the attachments has to be changed as we make this motion?
Okay.
Okay.
Be
With the updated, do you want to amend your motion?
I will amend, I make that motion with the amendment that the document describing the site location for the St. Helena Primary School will be updated to the proper address and location.
perfect.
Nice.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda contains routine items judged as appropriate to be acted upon in one motion. If a board member requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda, the item will be considered under discussion action items. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
Before you go further, just publicly announce that C has been pulled from this.
Okay. Oh, I was going to save that for,
Well,
okay.
First, we're going to do, just that one.
Got it. Okay, so, thank you. At the beginning of the meeting, 8C was pulled from the consent agenda, so we will be approving the consent agenda with the removal of 8C. So do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No, thank you.
No?
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda item as presented with the exception of 8C?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 9A?
No, 8C?
God,
No, it's okay.
You're okay.
what is my,
We're all a little rusty.
okay, so let's go to 8C, approval of out-of-state employee travel. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. So do I go back to any public comment on this agenda item, or do we just get into discussion?
That's a good question.
I would ask Trustee
Okay.
Moore to start.
Maura, but Trustee Maura.
Trustee Moore. Yeah, I had a question. That this is the first, maybe one of the first time I've seen an out-of-state employee travel during school, so during instructional days. And it looks like it's a full 5 days from the classroom. It was really just more of a, maybe a request for an understanding of how we ensure that our, the students are receiving instructional time from their teacher and not having too many subs through this actual school year. I just don't know anything about this process because I haven't seen a request during school before. It's usually summer, so that's what I was just trying to understand.
This is a lengthy one, you are correct. So I think it triggered that question for several people. Principals typically monitor the attendance of teachers, inclusive of conferences, but also other things. You know, like if a teacher is on certain committees that are being pulled from class a lot, then that teacher may go to fewer conferences that year. But it really is up to the administrator. I know that Mr. Cinto and I had a brief conversation about the need from their campus. In fact, they're funding this from campus funds to send, I believe it's Mrs. Ashwanden, correct? And I don't know, Mr. Cinto, if you want to add any more, but principals will typically take a look, like if a teacher has been out a lot, not to penalize the teacher, but again, prioritizing that teachers are in front of students as much as possible. So it's a constant balance of need to attend something, to be involved in a professional development, to serve on a committee, and or to be in front of students. So anything you'd like to add, Mr. Cinto?
Yeah, I mean, it's something obviously we have a pretty active and celebrated ag program, and they don't always have the opportunity to do these things during the summer. So, you all know about all of our national award-winning students. I think the ag team has been awarded the top 2-3-person ag team in the country for twice. So to me, it's a worthwhile investment. I mean, Mr. Heller could probably speak to this, but this is probably the most detailed conference attendance request I think we've ever received, at least in my time here. Pretty detailed. So Miss Ashwanden's really conscientious. She's always well prepared. We have a number of substitutes who we secure who have a degree of expertise and background in agriculture. So, I feel very confident. And I will also say with the learning management system, it really helps us continue instruction without compromising it greatly, knowing that, there's going to be a substitute in the room.
Those comments are helpful. That's why I just wanted to make sure that it just felt weird to see it during the school year, and I know the ag can be out a lot, so I wanted to make sure that there was an eye on the student having their teacher. during the school year. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to head back to this. Okay, so is there,
Just a motion to
approve 8C?
I'll make the motion to
Okay.
approve 8C.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 9A, Superintendent's Report. Dr. McClay.
It's me again. All right. I will be brief tonight. It has been a busy summer. You know, a lot of folks think that school districts are completely dark during the summer. And while that is true for many of our student programs, it actually can be the busiest time of year for certain departments and divisions. And so I'm actually glad to see our Director of Facilities here this evening. I'm surprised he's got two eyes still open. His team, as well as quite a few other teams, have been working around the clock to make sure that our campuses look beautiful and are ready for Monday. So not only the facilities department, but the maintenance team, our groundskeepers. And I know if you drive around the town and you take a look at any one of our schools, noticeable improvements since students dismissed in June. Secretaries and clerks of our campuses have been working long hours, helping families with registrations and residency verifications, those kinds of things. Summer school, we had staff, a principal, teachers, support staff, supporting students for that entire month. Our DO staff, you know, folks often forget that everybody still wants to get a paycheck during the summer. So we've got payroll and we have HR and all of our other departments within the district office, including the IT department. Principals, assistant principals have been back for the last couple weeks, really, really busy making sure that everything is ready. So we are super excited for Monday. We're also super excited, I know I am especially, for tomorrow. We're doing something a little out of the box. We've got our 180 staff members coming back tomorrow. First official day back for the entire team. So for some folks, it will be their first day back, but we are going to do a Back to the Future themed event. I call it an event very broadly with 3 of our new school buses, 2 of the EV buses. We're going to load up first thing in the morning, and we're going to 3 different locations throughout St. Helena to do some really cool activities. We're going to dabble a little bit with AI, but we're really going to connect with each other and connect with our community all in the morning. Then we'll come back, have lunch together, and then staff have prep time in the afternoon. So we're super excited about that. It will be an early morning for all of us. So we're also looking forward to a quicker meeting tonight. No pressure.
All righty. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a great day. Exciting. Okay, we're going to move on to 9B, Chief Business Officials Budget Update. Dr. Thing.
Thank you. So this will be the first of many more to come budget updates. They'll be presented to the board. So I have some good news to share and some not so good news. So I will start with the good news, and then we will move into the not so good news and allow everyone to take a deep breath before we get there. So the good news, starting off with that, is that on Friday, July 25th, the Trump administration announced that it will plan to release the title funds, which were unexpectedly withheld from all states on July 1st. And if you recall from our prior board meetings, I believe you had asked me, how much do we have in federal funds? Overall, our federal funds are close to $500,000. For this particular case, we're talking only about our title funds, and that is approximately about $200,000. So these funds have now been released from the Trump administration, so we are expecting to get these funds for this school year. So we're talking about the 25-26 school year. So that's the good news. Now, everyone, take a deep breath, and we're going to go into the not so good news. So recently, the Napa County Assessor's Office has released their assessment roll, which is done once a year, and those numbers are shared with all the cities in Napa County and school districts in Napa County. So today, I'm going to speak specifically to our district, and as you all know, we're a basic aid district. We're funded off of property taxes. And the assessment roll is such a critical number when we do get that from the county assessor's office, because our past history has, if you look at our assessment roll numbers, it tends to correlate fairly closely with the percentage change for the actual annual property tax revenue for that year. And so when I was reviewing the assessment roll, it is showing a 0.39% increase. So if that correlates with our property taxes for this year, then that creates an issue, because as you all know, I have budgeted a conservative 2% increase in this year's budget, which you've already approved, and the 2 out years. So there's a difference between a 0.39% increase and a 2% increase. So again, we can do some things, we just can't do all things. We really will have to prioritize. And this is the year, as I've mentioned to all my principals sitting in the audience, this is the year where we will be purchasing what we need and not so much what we want. We will have to work together and really prioritize our expenses for this year. Another not so good news is the city of St. Helena has released some information basically letting us all know that effective July 1st of this year, our water and wastewater will increase. Water will increase by about 8%, and wastewater will increase by approximately 4%. So that's about a 12% increase. And if I haven't mentioned this before, in reviewing our utility bills in general, every year they've increased, and so now we've got this 12% increase that, in full transparency, I did not know and I did not budget for in this year's budget, but you'll see it come first interim. So that summarizes my budget. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
So, Dr. Vang, on looking at our 2024-25 water sewer cost, we can expect that $500,000 price tag to increase by 12%.
Definitely, yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Are you okay? So my question, the property tax, and our budget, how it relates to our budget. So, so we have been budgeting 2% for several years, and in the out years we've done 2%. So we'll rebudget with the 0%, and then just the logistics of that. When does that come our way again? Then when will we see that? Is it in December?
First interim in December.
In December.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And earlier tonight, we were discussing a stop on our solar project. The beginning of the solar project discussion a couple of years ago, a motivation was our PG&E bills.
Right.
And so there's been a significant increase since 2021. Can you discuss, or you don't have to discuss, but just to know what practices can be put in place at each campus to reduce our electrical?
That's an excellent question. Mike is here. I will let Mike help me speak to this, but we've actually been doing some side projects, and such as putting in LED lighting, replacing our lighting with LED, and we started with RLS, and we're making our way around. But as you know, because of the costs, we can't tackle the project in whole, so we're kind of mill-piecing it together. We're also working with MCE, and Gopal is gone now, but we're also working on another project to hopefully help us save on our PG&E bills in the future. So Mike, do you want to share a little bit about some of the strategies we put in place to hopefully reduce consumption?
So with the MCE program, I partner with Clear Result, and we meet every 2 weeks, and we game plan and look at our energy trends, which obviously typically drop during the summer because we're not using HVAC facilities as much. In that, we also are looking at the pool use, which is a huge draw as well. And we're exploring what we can do as far as, I know it sounds funny, but getting off the gas and switching to electric heat pumps, which are supposedly, but they also come at a price.
Right.
Also with that, I just got my reports back. We reached out to EcoGreen. They come in and they do a full lighting assessment of all the facilities. We started here at the high school a couple months ago. They came in over the summer. They did the 3 other locations and explore how we can switch over to LED through, I can't remember what the program's exactly called, on bill financing. So I got to look through those reports and see what that looks like and validate some time use that they calculate into that. That's the huge, and there's flex peak hours where we get notified, basically shut everything down that you can. A lot of energy use comes from staff, just to be quite honest, and behavior. So closing doors when your HVAC is on, turning out the lights when you don't need them, turning off your Promethean board. We did a huge plug load inventory of major items in the district, so computers, toasters, coffee makers, fridges, microwaves. Huge draws obviously are requirements like student laptops. We have to have those, we have to charge them. I've talked to Derek a little bit about maybe putting those on some sort of timing schedule. But there's a lot of mini fridges out there. Is it necessary? No. Not necessarily. Promethean boards, like I said, powering down. Just behavior, a lot of behavior will really help us energy-wise. I know Kate likes to turn lights off a lot. She's really good about it. So that's really it. It's a lot of behavior, first and foremost. And speaking with some staff that I've seen out in the district, they're very conscious of it. But we could always do better.
Do we have the automatic light turn-off switch? I know it has a more sophisticated name than that in each
Motion
room.
sensor?
Thank you.
Yeah.
In
We
each
do
classroom?
have a lot, but we could definitely do a lot more. And that's in that EcoGreen assessment is to
Okay.
upgrade to that as well.
And currently, we were talking about the big draws, the pool, the use. So I'm a little confused on the personal refrigerators. We've got the staff refrigerators. What are the personal ones? Are those like medical refrigerators or?
No, these are mini refrigerators in teachers' classrooms and staff classrooms. So we have personal refrigerators, mini fridges, microwaves, coffee pots.
Do the staff, I assume the staff lounges have all of these?
Correct.
Okay.
Would I be correct in my assumption too, that when they're working on that report, I envision transferring to LEDs, the elementary schools where it's probably going to be the most challenging given the age of the building, because probably the majority of those fixtures would have to be retrofitted, replaced. Is that correct, or are those pretty close to where you can swap out?
It really depends on the fixture and the
Okay.
backbone of it.
Okay.
In-house, we've done some where we can literally, over the summer, instead of just putting in regular fluorescent tubes,
Yeah.
there are some that will work off of the existing
Great, okay.
backbone
Yeah.
wiring, so that will definitely help us.
Okay.
And then they just last longer as well.
Okay.
So we kind of pick and choose exactly how we attack the problem depending on the problem.
Right. I mean, I think just so that we're being completely transparent, the amount paid in 24-25, and we haven't said this number out loud, is this is all 5 buildings, correct? $767,000, 873.41. It's a lot It's a lot of money. So, I mean, if it sounds ridiculous that we're talking about light bulbs, there's a reason why we're talking about light bulbs and refrigerators, because it's $800,000 almost. So, that'll be great to see when that report comes in, to see what could be,
Yeah, and my team, I'm sure you guys saw some of the slideshow. So I like the gym in RLS. We did that in-house. It was relatively easy. Of course, we have to shut down the gym.
Right.
The primary school, we did the exterior lighting over there. That's all LED.
Great.
All controllable. Like, it's relatively easy, but again, it does come at a cost.
Yeah, it
up
does.
front. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that, for all the efforts.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Vang, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vang.
I just
Yeah.
have another question, sorry.
Absolutely.
I know you mentioned that our next interim budget would come in December. So there are a lot of expenses that we are asked to approve before then. I guess if we need to cut a certain amount to pay for this in the budget, is there a way we can know what we're now under or over budget before then? I don't, how do we help you, I guess is my question, while we wait for December 1st? It's a better way to put it.
I will keep you posted. If there are any big purchases, as there is one coming up on business ops, I will bring to your attention. I'll make sure that Dr. McClay is well aware of these purchases. And as you all know, we don't, as a basic aid district, we don't get our first big pot of property taxes till December. Cash is king. And so I'll be monitoring all that closely, but any large expenses, we're gonna try to hold off until after our first property tax payout in December. So in between now and first interim, anything that is big, I will work with Dr. McClay to make sure you get the information. And I'll just be monitoring all of our expenses closely.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All set? Okay. Okay. 9C, St. Helena Teachers Association, report to the board. I'd like to call on Mr. Lulsdorf.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, trustees. Welcome back, or everyone. And I just want to reiterate what our superintendent had mentioned about the facilities. Really hats off. You guys do a super job. It really makes the teachers feel welcome. I think the kids feel welcome. And yeah, you guys, I have the privilege of, when I coach, going to a lot of other sites. And if you've seen some other schools, you really should appreciate how good of a job they do here. So yeah, just go to Willits if you want to get a juxtaposition. I'm sorry, but I feel bad for those kids. So, and you come on our campus and it's immaculate and looks great. So really nice job. And our teachers really appreciate it. So I wanted to bring our attention to something that's been kind of percolating in the background for the last couple of years. Our counselor's been telling me that, and this is more of a high school issue, but it does affect our staff. Students who are taking classes that we offer at our school, but instead doing it online or at a community college. Now, in the past, that was usually because there was a schedule conflict. Like, hey, I really want to take, science and the media, but I also want to take AP Stats. And since both those classes are at the same period, can I take this AP Stats or Stats at the college? Sure. And it used to be kind of a single-digit issue. And I asked my counselors, hey, can you give me some data? And Heller, actually, Mr. Heller also encouraged me to do this. So I reached out to them today, and I just got the email. So I can't go too far back, but in the past, I believe it was always in the single digits. Last year, that number was 15, and this year it's at 18, and that number is not finalized yet. The counselors tell me there's a number of students who are waiting to hear back from about online courses that they can take. And the concern there is it does a couple of things. We're paying for our staff here to teach our students here, but also I think it does something to our diploma because we don't know the standards. If they're doing a BYU class, for example, does BYU have the same standards as California on LGBTQ and all those kinds of things that we have requirements that we have to meet that they don't necessarily meet. And so I've been told that this is really needs to be a board policy issue. I would urge the board to find a way to accommodate the kids who have that schedule conflict, but maintain the fidelity of our diplomas. Does that make sense? I'm hoping I'm articulating that all right. So, and my fear is that if we don't act soon, it's going to keep snowballing. What I hear, now this is just anecdotally, I don't know for sure, but rumors are from kids, hey, I can get out of this hard AP stats class by taking this, I found this cool thing online and it's super easy, and I can just get it out of the way. And I think that just diminishes our diploma that we give them when they graduate. So there's a whole host of issues, you know, on the teacher side. You know, we don't have the full group of kids that we normally would have. I think it just diminishes the whole experience at the school site. So I want to bring that to your attention. I hope that is something that we can look at addressing in the future, in the near future, hopefully. So, and I can ask the counselors, they're more connected to this because they see all the classes and they can give us a little bit more info, and I can see if I can go further back besides last year and this year. So, okay.
So for clarification, our current students have the choice to take an in-person class or an online class
They can.
if the class is open for them to take, if it works with their schedule. They can still choose?
Yeah. There's
Okay.
no, because I believe, and I'm not an expert on this area, but I believe some school districts have some board policies to deal with this because it's been a thing that's been we're not unique in this situation. There's other school sites or other school districts that are starting to see this. And just how kids communicate, they start to find the loopholes, right? And like people do. And so that's my understanding. It's not like, for example, we have this year, 2 kids who are not taking three kids opting out of English 12 at our site and doing it, or actually 4 kids, so online. Now, I don't know how many of those are schedule conflicts, but it seems this was never an issue 5 years ago. And it's becoming, both our counselor says, hey, this is starting to become an issue. And we don't have something in place to say, hey, that's kind of abusing the intention of that accommodation that we give kids to allow them to do an online class. Normally, it's like, hey, we don't offer Japanese. Okay, take an online Japanese class or whatever. But it's starting to get, and we're only looking at classes that we offer here. And those numbers, I'm not including, taking some super advanced math class or something like that. So, okay? So I hope, and I can reach out, or maybe I can talk to the counselors a little bit and give you guys some feedback, or however you want to handle that. You can reach out to me or superintendent or whoever. All right. So I'm not sure the exact channel, but I wanted to bring it to our attention. So
Thank you.
okay.
Dr. McClure?
Well, I was just going to
Just
clarify
yeah.
for your question, President
you.
Simon, that I believe that he's not talking about students taking online classes that are sponsored by St. Helena Unified School District. These are classes that students are taking outside of our purview. So maybe a JC, maybe an online program, and then bringing that course to the counselors to get credit on their transcript. And I believe the biggest concern is that these are classes that we offer, and that students are now taking these elsewhere, not because of a schedule conflict, but because of perhaps some other reason. So I just wanted to clarify. I was afraid you thought maybe we were offering the online class, and we're not. Okay.
No, that they're using it. Okay. Thank you for clarification.
So I have just a quick question, and so I would like to know what board policy that is, so we can start reviewing it. I mean, that would be,
Sounds like we don't necessarily.
we don't have, so there's nothing, right now, there's nothing in any kind of.
I don't believe that we have one. I am aware of some other districts who have attempted to limit it in various reasons, so we can pull some samples for you.
Okay,
There's some
okay,
pros and
that's even
cons.
better.
So,
Okay.
but we can pull some samples and maybe form a subcommittee if you'd like and take a look at it.
Okay.
Okay.
So if we have questions about the actual details of the questions, we come to you and you'll go back and forth. Okay, I mean, I don't know if they're dual enrollment, like, we're encouraging kids to take college classes, but it's not that, I'm assuming. So, and it's not credit recovery, it's, okay, I'll ask you questions.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would appreciate us looking at policy and diving into this topic. Thank you. Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, I hope we have a great start. Looking forward to it, and yeah, exciting day on Monday for all of us.
Have a great day.
All right.
We hope you have a flourishing day.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Losdorf. 9D, California School Employees Association, and I would like to call on our representative. Hello.
Oh, it's not as tall as it looked from sitting down over there. Good evening, St. Helena School Board members, Superintendent McClay, Assistant Superintendent Dr. McClay, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Heller, and Dr. Vang. My name is Cindy Terrell, and I proudly serve as Vice President of our CSEA chapter, and have worked as a prayer educator for over 15 years. As we physically and mentally prepare for another exciting school year, we are looking forward to the smiling faces that greet us and warm our hearts each day. It is an honor to continue to watch and serve as a vital role in their growth as human beings. We are also preparing for a contract of classified workers that will impact the equitable and sustainable service for which we provide to our students and fellow coworkers. As classified workers, we are the heart of education, whether we are serving our children nutritious meals, keeping our schools safe, maintained and clean, addressing many technological and clerical needs, transporting children safely to and from school and field trips, providing occupational therapy, or assisting in implementing special needs and academic intervention services to our students under teacher direction. We are vital and want to be appreciated, understood, and heard. We consist of approximately 60 members, but 70 classified, serving over 1,000 students. We play a significant role in not only serving our students and families, but our administrators and teachers as well. We are the ones in the trenches and often the first responders of mental health crisis and academic and behavioral needs. We are the extra eyes and ears of our campuses and first aid responders as well. We are the mentors and caregivers to our students, whether they need a shoulder to cry on or are hurt and need medical attention. We care for and respect each other and our students. Students teach us to be better teachers, and we are all educators. So I come before you today, speaking on behalf of our amazing members, to please consider this as we negotiate the next 3 years of our contract. Many of us work multiple jobs to make ends meet. In a district as blessed as ours, and living in one of the most stunning but most expensive counties in the nation, this just shouldn't be. So we candidly ask, with an honest and open heart, to consider wages that all members can realistically earn to support our families and send our kids to college. Not only do our futures depend on classified workers, but our teachers' futures do, our children's futures do, and they deserve the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, we absolutely appreciate the 70 classified members, and you are absolutely right, on the front line every single day, the backbone of the district. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful school year. We're going to move into board-related items. 10A, discussion of board members' training for 2025-26. And I'm going to call on Dr. McClay.
So we wanted to bring this forward to have a conversation particularly about CSBA attendance. I think it's important. The board has an opportunity to model district-wide that we are being very conscientious about cost. This year, we're questioning everything, as we should be, especially given Dr. Vang's budget update. On the flip side of that, there is a lot of merit and a lot of value in attending CSBA. This particular year in December will be shorter. They have modified the conference. It will be just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, rather than in the past it's gone through Saturday. It will also be cheaper if you opt to attend because we won't be traveling. You know, in years past it's been down in Southern California, so there won't be airfare. But we did want to bring it for a board conversation because obviously there is a small cost to going, and determine whether or not the entire board wanted to go, partial board, the entire conference, partial attendance. We did look into the question whether or not there would be online options, any webinars, and there will not be. I believe it's all or nothing, correct? Yes, all or nothing in person, so to speak. So we'll just open it up for discussion.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so,
Public comment.
oh, yes. Are there any public comments on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item? I just wanted to
I was gonna
share.
say,
Thank you.
why don't you share
Dr. McClay took the words right out of my mouth, which I really appreciate. Far more eloquent speaker than I, so I appreciate that. And I brought this, given the current financial situations, I brought this to Dr. McClay's attention, and we spoke on it. And I wanted to have a discussion on this to get your thoughts about attending this year for all the reasons that Dr. McClay has shared. Again, the entire board going, 1 to 2 reps going. It is north, it's not south, so there isn't the travel expense that there was last year. Webinars for the conference aren't available, but there are free webinars through CSBA during the school year. I know some of us attend those. So yeah, just your thoughts on if you would like to go, if you want to pause and do a webinar this year. Just get very curious about your thoughts on this.
Well, yeah, because we actually talked about this last year as well, about whether or not making the trek to Southern California. And because I was also, when I served as board president, I was like, how much is this costing us? And I believe, now that's more because we're traveling down that way, but I believe it was something like, it's like $28,000, I think, when all of us go down there. Am I right in that? No, it's not that much? I thought it was in that.
I don't believe it's that much, but
Okay,
we
great.
can
Good.
get a number
Then
for you.
I inflated in my own head, but regardless. But it was also that sometimes a lot of things are repetitive at those conferences, I have found, over the years. There's definitely benefit to going, but I also feel that this could be the year to skip it, and perhaps the board considers, and if we're looking for some kind of professional development, maybe we do something that's in-house, that's related to an issue we really want to focus on that pertains to our district. And we bring in a facilitator, and we can do it here versus doing it on a higher level. There's a lot of advocacy that happens at a CSB conference, as we know. But I personally, along with the budgetary considerations that we are faced with, would be okay passing it by this year, and if need be, if the board agreed, doing something in-house.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, other comments?
I guess so, going back to needs and wants, this is not a need for me. I think in the first year when I was a trustee, I learned a lot. Now I spend a lot of time reading the articles online anyway, so I am in favor of, at least I don't need to attend.
Okay. Trustee Kerr, Trustee Wolf?
You know, I'm glad this is on the agenda this evening because it is. It's for me. I've attended every year. I think it's it's wonderful as far as just your learning and your advocacy and you're getting to know other people, and it's an advantage to school board members to go to it. I believe.
Absolutely.
However, I also believe that we have to be leaders as far as kind of the choices that we're making right now, and right now is not the time to be spending a lot of money that maybe could go to somewhere else, students. And so I would agree. I would agree. And I do really like the idea of a facilitator, that something that we could all really, really learn something, a little bit deeper in things too. I like that idea. Yeah.
Absolutely not. I want to go. No. No, I have enjoyed in the 3 that I've gone to, obviously, learning new things, the networking. I think it's given me a lot of added knowledge. But as I wrote myself too, I guess, it's important for us to lead by example. We're asking people to make cuts and we're, less money. And as much as I would enjoy going, I totally think this might be the year that we put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and say, look, we think this is important, but we can't make it work, and find a way to, do something together. But I mean, it's always a good experience for us, but I totally understand. And, or if one person wanted to go or 2, but I think it just might be the year to have our break.
Right. Well, and I was thinking also, because you mentioned something like maybe 1 or 2 or something, and I certainly would be one to not go, just because I've attended many years, and so maybe for our younger board members, that would be a great opportunity if that's what we decide as well.
Okay. So I think what we'll do, we're going to pass on the CSBA conference this year, but we do tune into the daily reports that we get from CSBA via our email, and there are always webinars that we could attend. So I recommend that to stay up to date during the year, especially with the federal changes, that we just remind ourselves to continue to, I know we all do, to continue to read those articles and check out a few webinars this school year. Thank you. And then I know next year it will be in Southern California, so that will be the added travel expense. But I think that this could be an annual on the Friday memo, just a heads up. Is there anyone that wants to go? How do we feel about it for next year? So it's just sometime in the summer that we get, so we can kind of make an annual decision on our thoughts about attending the conference. Does that sound good?
It does. But I would ask that we, I know we have some upcoming study sessions, but I would like us to figure out a way to check in with the board to see if we want to have some kind of in-house governance of our own kind of session, if we will.
Now, I believe we have some, well, when we review the calendar, we do have the September or
Exactly.
October,
I know we have
one.
those. I just want to make sure
In
that,
addition.
yeah, that if
Okay.
there's, like, as we know, like AI was super heavy
Exactly,
at
that's what I
the
was thinking.
CSBA conferences.
Yeah.
So it's just that we keep, take a pulse reading of trustees of like, are you feeling like you want a deeper dive on something? Should we try to bring somebody in here to do a
Got it.
half
Oh,
day
got
or
it,
a
got it.
full day? Or even a team building day that we do, because the one thing that we will be missing that we get from CSBA is being all together.
Yeah.
And there is value in that,
Yeah.
that we leave this space and we are together, learning, exchanging ideas, having conversations about what we did. Maybe it's just one day kind of workshop that we get to be together. I'm not saying, just things
No,
to
I
percolate
like that
on.
idea, because
So-
that's something that we'll be missing this year, but we can create that in-house.
So, yeah, perhaps we can.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. I think the time for us to come together, and we learn more about each other each time. And, I think I would definitely find a topic, and if we could do a one-day something and work together.
And I just want to put a plug in to remember to always advocate, though, you guys. Don't let advocacy go away because of this. I mean, it's really, advocacy part is the very most important part, especially now.
Excellent reminder.
And I apologize for inflating those numbers. For some reason, I had that in my head, so I don't know why I did, but
Well, and you could be accurate, so I will apologize if I'm just not sure. It
Yes.
seems high, but we'll look.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to 10B, adoption of Resolution 25-6, Hispanic Heritage Month, September 2025. And I'd like to call on Dr. McClay in a moment.
I'm going to read.
Okay, we're going to pass on, okay. I have asked, is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? No, okay. I am messing this up.
No, I'm going to read it for you.
So I have asked Vice President Pelosi to read the resolution in recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month.
I vote,
Vice
okay.
President Pelosi.
St. Helena Unified School District Resolution 25-6, recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month, September 2025. Whereas the United States commemorates the heritage and culture of all Americans whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas beginning on September 15th, 2025, and ending October 15th, 2025, the United States celebrates National Hispanic Heritage Month as enacted in Public Law 100-402 on August 17th, 1988. Whereas this year's theme, Preserving Legacies, Building Futures, Empowering Communities Through Heritage, reminds us of the enduring strength of Hispanic cultural roots. As we honor the past, we also look to the future, fostering unity, identity, and pride through shared heritage. And whereas Hispanic Americans have contributed significantly to the economic, cultural, and political development of the St. Helena Unified community. And whereas the student body of the St. Helena Unified District is composed of 51% Hispanic American students. And whereas Hispanic American classified staffs support and enrich all students' learning. And whereas Hispanic American teachers distinguish themselves as educators in the St. Helena Unified School District classrooms. And whereas Hispanic Americans administrators lead their schools with vision. And whereas Hispanic American school board members lead with distinction. And whereas all citizens will benefit from an accurate portrayal of Hispanic heritage and culture. And whereas research findings suggest that presenting Hispanic American culture, history, and perspective in the classroom promotes academic success for Hispanic American students. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the St. Helena Unified School District Governing Board proclaims September 15th, 2025 through October 15th, 2025 Hispanic Heritage Month and encourages schools, staff, and students to honor the historical contributions of Hispanics through interactive classroom lesson plans, guest speakers, and cultural celebrations. Adopted this 14th day of August, 2025 at a regular board meeting.
Thank you, Vice President Pelosi. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
I don't have a question, but it occurred to me when you were reading this that, so I have an incoming freshman, and she has ethnic studies on her class roster. So it just was, that's one of the chapters in the book, and so we are also honoring it by including ethnic studies this year.
Great. Good point.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Mora. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 25-6 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 10C, request to accept gifts, donations, or earmarked funds. And I would like to call on Trustee Wolf, I believe, to please read the donations received by the district.
Thank you, President Simon. I will apologize in advance if anybody's name is mispronounced. I'll do my best here. St. Helena High School has received the following donations totaling $53,100. The first, $700 from Dorothy Varland for a 2025 scholarship, the Larry E. Varland Scholarship. $750 was received from Gerald D. Smith, also for the 2025 scholarships, for the Harold U. Smith Memorial Scholarship. $250 received from Annette Smith, again, 2025 scholarship, and that also was for the Harold U. Smith Memorial Scholarship. $1,000 was received from Thomas Juni, and again, 2025 scholarship, and that was for the Tom and Lennis Juni Memorial Scholarship. $5,000 received from Anita Cummings, scholarship as well, 2025, and that was the Cummings Family Memorial Scholarship. $1,500 to Saints Athletic Association, another 2025 scholarship, and that was for the Ernie Navoni Memorial Scholarship. $1,500 again, Saints Athletic Association, 2025 scholarships for the Saints Athletic Association Scholarship. $250 received by Norman Manzer, a scholarship 2025 for the Friends of the Arts Scholarship. And $6,750 received from Suzanne Nichols, 2025 scholarship, and that was also for the Friends of the Arts Scholarship. $1,500 received from Barbara Ringdon, and 2025 scholarship, and that was the Smith Family Memorial Scholarship. $1,000 came from the, I believe that's the Napa County Bar Association. If I said Napa Country Bar Association, I think that has a little different sound to it, but a Napa County Bar Association 2025 scholarship for the Napa County Bar Association Scholarship. $29,000 from the Community Foundation of Napa Valley 2025 scholarship, and that was through the Neal Family Scholarship. And then we have $109.58 from the St. Helena Arts Boosters for the band program, miscellaneous donation for the 2024-25 spring concert. $177.18, St. Helena Performing Arts Boosters from the choral program, and that was a miscellaneous donation for the 24-25 concerts. $613.32 from Azteca Market Taqueria went to the class of 2025, and those were senior luncheon burritos. Yum. And finally, $3,000 from Fidelity Charitable, the Adrian Dollard Charitable Fund, to girls basketball for alternative uniform donations. So we're greatly appreciative of everyone in this community who gives of their time and their money to our kids.
Thank you, Trustee Wolf. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item? Is there a motion to approve? I'm sorry, hold on one second. Okay. Is there a motion to, hold on. I click this and it does not. Here we go. Is there a motion to approve the gifts, donations, or earmarked funds as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. We are going to take a 5-minute comfort break, and then when we come back, we will head into student learning and achievement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are back. We're going to head into student learning and achievement. We'll begin with 11A, written report on the 2025-26 Local Control Accountability Plan monthly presentations. And I'd like to remind the board that this is a written report. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No.
Okay. 11B, written report on the 2025 summer school program. I'd like to remind the board that this is a written report. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No, I don't have any questions, but I do want to, my compliments to all of the staff as far as the reporting. Thank you for that. And for our summer school team that made it possible for all of the students to go to summer school this year. It's great. It was a great report too, so I'm very thankful for that.
Okay, any other questions?
I had my questions previously answered in my one-on-one, so thank you.
Okay. I had a couple of questions, clarifications. So for the high school credit recovery, I noticed the offerings were for English, language arts, and social studies. I was just curious why math and science aren't offered, or if it's not possible to do that through Apex.
I believe that's an error, and math was offered, correct, Mr. Cinto? No?
The reason why we offer those courses is because they're a 4-year requirement. So once a student gets off track, there's no other opportunity to make that up. We don't put seniors in freshman English kind of a thing. Whereas with mathematics, those students repeat the course. So we don't want to, as much as it's good to have an online option, it's really not the best option. Math was offered for the students accelerating from middle school, but that was done differently than how we normally do it. So that was taken with an Apex teacher, so not a high school teacher. So they have their own credentialed staff and they facilitate their own online learning. So that's how that was done. We provided support for those students who wanted to come one day during the week to get assistance from Mr. Larson. But he is not the teacher of record. We've never submitted those courses. All of our Apex courses have been submitted to the College Board for college prep approval, so that's why we're able to, transfer them and replace grades and do all that.
Okay, thank you. And don't go anywhere yet, because I have another question for you.
Hopefully
Thank
I can
you.
answer it.
Thank you, Principal Cinto.
No worries.
But I appreciate that clarification. That makes total sense. So let's see here. So I was just curious as to, it was mentioned in the report that for students that were having some difficulty completing the coursework during summer school, that there was the Wednesday in-person check-in, and that helped the kids, stay on task, get the momentum going. So it was great to see that. I was curious, in order to get more kids to complete the summer aid, I think there were 61 kids with need, or 60 something, and only 21 kids. I want to be very accurate on this. I'm sorry.
It's like, and I can do it. It's 68 students identified, 39 students enrolled, and 21 students completed.
Yeah, 21 students completed. So with about a third completing of the 60 of the students identified, has the district ever thought about providing in-person summer school for high school, requiring students to be at school to use Apex to increase course completion, since attending in person on those Wednesdays had a positive impact on student course completion? You don't have to answer now.
No. I mean, we've done that in the past before with mathematics. When we've done a summer course.
Because they have to complete it within the range.
And I will say Mr. Larson even stretched the boundaries of timelines in terms of even though he was, well into July or whatever, some of the students wanted to continue working on. So, he kind of extended the deadline, but a lot of those students will just roll into our our independent study. We only have one period of independent study now, which is really good compared to years past. So kids are making it through, but it's tough because we've tried in-person summer school and we actually get fewer signups because kids, get summer jobs, they summer travel, all sorts of things, and they just need a break from school too. So really offering it just for English and history allows us to make sure kids stay on track to graduate.
So the thought is we catch more fish if we make it more flexible with online.
Yeah.
How do
But
you?
we can always try something different.
How do you feel about the 21? Do you think was that kind of your thoughts about how many would, or?
Yeah, this is I haven't read the summer school report, so.
Or if you want to have some time to.
Yeah,
think about it.
Here's what I was in thinking. Year past when we had a full-time teacher dedicated to independent study and study skills at the same time. Our teachers are getting students through their coursework, so. Just even the fact that we only need a single section of independent study, I think some kids look at, I'll speed up over summer, I'll get back on track, and then the realization hits that you really got to pound out a lot of work during that time. I think that's what contributes to the attrition over the summer and kids not finishing. I'll just take it next year, depending on where they're at in their academic career. Seniors are a little more motivated. Having not looked at the report, I would wager that some of those students that completed are probably upperclassmen, but I don't know that for certain. I haven't looked at it that closely.
So does this now mean for the kids that didn't complete it for English or social studies, does this mean what are they not eligible for at graduation?
Well, nothing yet. Because
So
again, they
haven't-
could take independent study during the academic year as well as next summer as well. So
they
it
have
depends
more
on
time.
it depends on,
To catch
if they failed English 9, for example, whether it was a semester or a full academic year, they can get back on track. And we do offer
Great.
for A to G purposes, which we went up 8% in our A to G success rate this past year. We even offer the opportunity to remediate a D because you're no longer A to G eligible if you get below a C.
Okay.
So there's other opportunities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Now learned something new. Independent studies is meant for taking a credit recovery class with a teacher there? I didn't know that. Okay, so I did not know that. And it's one teacher, one period, regardless of what grade you're in?
Correct.
And you just go in that class to do your recovery. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
And I had one more question about ESY. Oh, no. You're good to go, Principal Cento. Thanks. So the report said we had 13 students, and I was just curious, and if you wanted to put this in a Friday memo, how many students' families were contacted to attend ESY and what our success rate was for
Do you want to
ESY
address
attendance?
that, Mrs. Romo Flores? ESY is referring to our extended school year for special education students, so it's written in their IEP. I don't know how many had it written in that didn't participate. Do you?
We had some that did not, the parents opted not to participate, and that's their right. But I think only like 2 students, but don't quote me on that, but it was a small number.
So we had a successful attendance?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Good to know. Thank you.
I could get you exact numbers if you want.
No, I'm just curious if it was a successful attendance. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to Human Resources, 12A, consideration of approval for consent to teach, for consents to teach for the 2025-26 school year. And I'd like to call on Mr. Heller.
All right. Good evening, trustees. Each year, teachers who possess coursework and a background in certain subjects can be permitted to teach a course outside of their credentials with their consent. So we asked them if they would be willing to teach this, and they would agree to that. So tonight we have 4 teachers who meet that criteria. That's established in California Education Code 44528. And that really details the process used to determine the teacher's eligibility for teaching these classes. And so these 4 consents to teach are presented for your approval. You'll see that 2 of them are in the category of leadership and public speaking. And one is in physics at the high school, and the other is at RLS for robotics and engineering. And that one specifically I know is, we have Mr. Harrington, who has the CTE credential for the high school, but just the way the CTE program works, would need a consent to teach it at the middle school. So that's why he's on the list.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No?
Okay. Is there a motion to approve resolutions 25-2 through 25-5 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 12B, review and consideration of approval for amendment to the employment contract between Chief Business Official Dr. Kay Vang and SHUSD. Okay. Here we go. I just say that because this is my first time. I have some language and that I'm going to. Little thing. Okay, sorry. Okay, so the board was considering an amendment to the Chief Business Official's contract, which provides the following. The contract is being renewed with a new term of July 1, 2024 through June 3rd, 2027. Additionally, the contract is being amended to provide the Chief Business Official with the opportunity to request the cash equivalent of up to 10 days of unused vacation each year. No other terms of the contract are being changed. The board considered the proposed amendment and has agreed to renew with a new term.
Hold on, your public comment first.
Okay.
Does it say that anyone wishes to comment?
I know, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Because this.
Oh, my apologies. Okay.
That's okay.
My apologies.
No problem. I'm going to continue where I was. No other terms of the contract are being changed. The board considered the proposed amendment and has agreed to renew with a new term of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2028. No other terms of the contract are being changed. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No?
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the revised amendment that extends the contract 2 years through June 30th, 2028, with no other terms being changed?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 12C, review and consideration of approval for amendment to the employment contract between Superintendent Dr. Jody McClay and SHUSD. The board considered the proposed amendment and has agreed to renew with a new term of November 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2029. Additionally, the contract is being amended to provide the superintendent with the opportunity to request the cash equivalent for up to 10 days of unused vacation each year. Finally, Section 3A of the superintendent's contract is being amended to clean up and remove references to using 224 days for purposes of calculating the daily rate of pay. No other terms of the contract are being changed. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No?
Okay. Is there a motion to approve contract amendment to Dr. Jody McClay, Superintendent, adding an additional year through June 30th, 2029?
2 years.
Adding an addition, well, no, because the contract already has a year on it, has already added a year to 2028. So if we add another year, we'll go to 2029. I see. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me start over. Is there, no problem. It takes a team. Is there a motion to approve contract amendment to Dr. Jody McClay, Superintendent, adding an additional 2 years through June 30th, 2029 as presented?
I'll make that motion. Oh, I take it back.
I read these.
She did read those
Yeah.
out, yeah.
Okay, there was a motion? Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 13A, contracts over 25,000 for August of 2025. Dr. Vang.
All right, we have a couple of contracts. Some of these you've seen before, so they are renewals. For example, we have Solution Tree here, which we also used last year for our professional development for teachers. We have some special ed contracts as well, some Bell product contracts to provide new HVAC units, some new AC units for not only the elementary school, but also for the primary school kitchen. So none of these contracts are new in a sense. Most of these are renewal contracts.
Is there anyone present who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No?
I have one, not debating anything. I was just curious, there's the MOU between Napa Valley Unified and Center about like adult education. Just for my knowledge, do we offer anything here on site? Any of the ESL or the citizenship, or does anything occur in St. Helena? I should know this.
Yeah.
I should. Thank you.
So we have for the last, I think, 2 years or maybe even 3 years now, we have leveled ESL classes taught.
Okay.
1 year they were taught at the elementary school. For the last 2 years, and even moving forward, they're being taught at the high school. Actually, Kara Doring is one of the instructors. Melissa Matheny has done it in the past, but we've had as many as 3 level classes. We also offer this coming year, what is it? We have a class being offered over at the Up Valley campus. Technology for families. So the guy's name is Heed Vargas, but that'll be at the Up Valley campus as well. Actually, we just had Selene send out all of the Up Valley classes, the entire adult ed catalog, as well as specifically the classes that we offer here in St. Helena. There's some others in Calistoga as well. But yeah, for the last three or 4 years or so.
And are like the citizenship, is that down in Napa that they would go?
We've
or-
had citizenship here as
Okay.
well. But there is a challenge in finding instructors for these courses
Sure.
because they also provide childcare. We've partnered with the Boys and Girls Club to offer some childcare positions to their staff since it's after hours. But yeah, it's all dependent upon staffing. But
And are
we
those
have offered it.
free to
I
participants?
believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
And is there an age? I know, I saw some was like
Above 18.
completing your diploma and that, so.
Yeah, but I mean, legally, you have to be above 18 years
18.
old. We've had
Okay.
a number of students who actually stay enrolled here at our school, particularly second language learners who also enroll in the adult ed classes once they turn 18 at night to advance their English skills.
Thank you. You made me a smarter person, Mr. Sintel.
That's great. Dr. Vang, I had one question about the St. Helena Aquatic Center. So it was stated that it's funded through the Measure BC bond program. What's the financial plan for that next summer? Or do-
Well, our plan is to continue using our maintenance funds, in Fund 14 to continue maintenance. As you all may know, you approved Diamond Quality to maintain our pool, and the water chemistry has been the best it's been, so we're planning on keeping them on board, and so that's all coming out of our Fund 14 as well, so.
Thank you.
Were you just, I think the note is just saying that we have the pool because of the bond. were you confusing that we
sorry.
are paying for, that it's being paid for through the bond that's now depleted?
I misunderstood.
Okay.
The way it was written.
I thought maybe that was the question.
Let me see really quickly.
Yes, the pool is fully funded, fully paid for, but the maintenance of the pool is another added cost day to day, and so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the center was funded through Measures BC. I thought maintenance was funded through. We still have, because I know that we are at the very tail end of that bond.
We're all done.
Yeah, done.
All
That's right.
spent as of last year,
That's
last
right.
school year, yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Trustee Mora.
And final question, and I apologize for this. So the Bell Products, looks like it's air conditioning for HVAC for elementary school, primary school. And so that was not planned. That was something that came
No,
up.
that
Okay.
was not planned. So for the primary school kitchen, if you've been in that school kitchen, it's a small space. And there's a new law that just came out that Mike and I have been, we actually have a district policy on it now. It is called the Indoor Heat Illness Policy. It's one of those. And so this actually is to ensure that we're compliant with that, the heat illness prevention plan. Thank you. For indoor and outdoor places. Because the space is quite small and there isn't an existing AC unit, and we had fans in there, but it wasn't cooling the space enough, and so it's a warm space. And based on this new law, we have to ensure that all the indoor spaces do not exceed a certain temperature, and I believe it's 82, because once it hits 82, then we're out of compliance. So in order to get us in compliance in this space, we proceeded with purchasing an indoor AC unit to ensure that we're good.
So are we good at the high school then, at downstairs, as far as our HVAC and things?
Down in this building,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
For right now, yes.
Okay.
Knock on wood.
Okay, great, thank you. The best news of the day.
Dr. Vang, given the amount of work we do with Bell Products, has there ever been a conversation with them about warranty extensions on parts and labor?
Not that I've had with them
Okay.
since my tenure, but I can definitely look into that and see if they'll be willing to have that conversation with us, definitely.
Okay. Let me know if you would like me to be part of that conversation as well, because I know several people at Bell Products as well. But I'm just looking at that, and I'm just, it started to occur to me because in some of the work that I'm doing, when I'm bundling things, even though they happen a little bit sporadically, I've been able to go from 1 year to 3 years on warranties, which is a nicer thing. So just something to maybe think about and see if they're willing to maybe, we're a good customer of theirs. There might be a little bit of, give and take there. So,
Definitely. I mean,
Okay.
they do get a lot of business from us.
yes,
So.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hopefully no one from Bell Products is watching and thinking, oh, she's going to call me tomorrow.
Is there a motion to approve the contracts over $25,000 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 13B, approve the purchase of a new 2024 electric Ford Transit van for home-to-school transportation. Dr. Vang.
Thank you. So the district has a white fleet that includes 14 vehicles, 3 ag vehicles, 2 athletics, 2 for our home-to-school transportation, and then the remaining for maintenance and operations. During the last 2 weeks, the 2 weeks right before school ended, one of our transportation vehicles broke down. The transmission failed, and it has a leaking roof. I was able to get a quote to replace the transmission, which would have been about $7,000. I did not get a chance to look into the leaking roof, which, in looking at it, we are thinking it's going to cost quite a bit. and it is a 2004 GMC vehicle that was purchase use. It's seen better days. We've had quite a few other issues prior to the transmission actually failing and then the leaking roof on top of it. So I've actually reached out to our transportation consultants. I was able to get a quote for an electric bus because we already have the EV charger ready to go. So I was able to get a quote for a Ford Transit that includes basic warranty. You can see all that there. And also it's on a piggyback contract from South County Support Services Agency. So we won't have to go bid for it. We can use the piggyback contract. And the white minivan, we were using this to transport, this was used for our Berryessa route. And so without this van, our current plan is to use one of the athletics van. However, if we're using the athletics van, the athletics can't use it. And in speaking with our athletic director, Brandon Farrell, having two athletics van has been beneficial to the athletics program. They've saved funds in terms of not having to rent or lease a bus, a charter bus, or another vehicle. And so we are at a place where I am recommending to the board that we do move forward with replacing the white minibus, which is part of our home to school transportation. Otherwise, we're going to have to fall back on the athletic van, which means then athletics will have to come up with another plan. So, and we don't have any backup vehicles. And so without this purchase, even if we were to use the athletic van, if another one of our vehicles were to break down, there isn't a backup plan, which then I would basically have to start canceling transportation routes. So I'm trying to avoid having to do that.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
No, I mean, this sounds like it's well researched, and this is the business of school. We have to change out vehicles when necessary, and
Yes,
this sounds
and
very necessary.
Unfortunately, the timing is not good. As you all know, our financial landscape is not the best right now, and this is a large purchase, so I do apologize for having to bring this to you at this time. But based on what I see and what I do know about our transportation fleet, it is a needed purchase, so.
It's a need, not a want.
Right.
But I do appreciate the discount.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was quite
Yes.
a chunk of change.
Yes. Our transportation consultants were able to negotiate a nice discount for us.
Okay, thank you.
Are we able to
Oh,
have?
hold
You
on.
know what?
Well, I'm
I-
sorry,
One second.
I apologize. It's not your fault. It's mine, because I started discussing with Dr. Vang. First of all, is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions, please? Trustee Wolf.
Just a basic one. Do we service it through the local Ford dealership here in town? Do we have any kind of arrangement with them if something does happen, or even routine maintenance for it?
Yes, Sayer Ford, we do have an account with them. In fact, with the new SB 88 law that just came into play as of July 1st, they will actually be performing our 19-point inspections. So we do have an account with them and a relationship with them, yes.
I just have a question going back to the first item that solar is dead. I just want to ask, should we be buying an electric vehicle right now if we're not putting in additional charging stations at all of the sites? Should we be going back to gas? I just wanted to ask.
I think based on the EV chargers that we do have, we have sufficient EV chargers. We have one that can be completely dedicated to this vehicle, and all of our white fleet, transportation white fleet, are based out, they're parked at the transportation yard. So this is actually perfect, yes.
Dr. Vang, do you happen to know off the top of your head what a vehicle like this, how many miles per year we might put on that vehicle?
I do. So our last Aurelia and I were doing the math, and the white minivan that we were using for the Lake Berryessa, and then at times for other routes, round trip, our total is about 15,000 miles a year.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I mean, I appreciate the research you did and providing all that documentation as well. And I know it's a challenge to, be super excited about approving something like this, but it's a student need, and we have to put our students first. We need to get our students to school. So, it has to happen. Warm, safe, dry, right? Because aside from the roof, even if you tried, I mean, there could be many other issues if there's been water leaking into that, it could be a whole bigger can of worms kind of thing. So thank you for doing the research on that.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to approve the purchase of the new 2024 electric Ford Transit van for home-to-school transportation as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 14A, future agenda items. If we look forward to next month, we have our September 4th Governing Board study session on student achievement and our regularly scheduled meeting on September 11th. That will be an exciting meeting as we have the oath of office for our new student rep. And also on September 25th, we have another Governing Board study session on district goals. Is there anything that the board members would like to add to our regular scheduled meeting?
I do think we decided when I was talking with Dr. McClay that my primary school report should be in September. I think that's when it would be scheduled, but it wasn't on here.
Oh, let's see, we're looking at the calendar.
Yeah, it was on that big calendar.
Thank you. Yes, we have you in September, Trustee Mora October, Kerr November, and Pelosi in December for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Because my report is riveting, and I just wanted to make sure it was
absolutely.
included. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to head into adjournment. And is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion carried. Meeting ending at 8:12 p.m. Thank you so much.
Don't we
Thank
have
you.
to say
Have a great
aye?
night.
Thank
We
you.
don't have to say aye. All in favor?